Abundance Summit. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez. If you're just joining us, I have sought out 21 experts in the field of abundance, and I sat down with them one-on-one to pick their brain to find out what keeps people generally living in lack and simple tips or methods or techniques that the experts themselves use in their daily lives to fully embrace a life of abundance in all of its forms. And we are in for such a great treat today because online we have Daniel Gutierrez, who is with us, and we're so thrilled to be able to pick your brain today, Daniel. Let me read just a little bit about the amazing things that Daniel has done in his life. He is an international business consultant, radio personality, and renowned motivational speaker who has inspired people to make positive changes that lead to success. Leveraging his experience, his infectious humor, and his deep belief that there is greatness in each of us has helped transform individuals all over the world. He's based in Los Angeles, and he has been a cover story in Latin Business Magazine and listed in its top 100 Hispanics, along with other incredible individuals that have shared that honor with him. He was actually featured in the documentary film Luminous Worldviews as one of 18 world-renowned thought leaders in the area of transformation and leadership. So, wow, we are going to have such an amazing conversation today. I can already feel it. So thank you, Daniel, for coming.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right into this. I want to know right from the very start, have you always had a really abundant life?
No.
Yay!
That's why I wrote the first book, Stepping into Greatness, Success is Up to You. I didn't really understand abundance. For me, it was for the wealthy. It was for the rich people. It was for the people on the other side of the tracks. It was never for me. But yet I was always seeking, looking for, there's got to be more to life than this. I grew up in a small town called Midlothian, Texas. And it's not a disease. It's just a really, really small town. There were more cows than people there. That's how small it was when I was there. And I just remember, I was just like the rest of the kids. I had a step-side pickup, a yellow one with, I had a gun in the back and the rope and the boots and the hat and the whole thing. I was a boy. No one could believe that. No one could believe that. But, chewing tobacco, just swearing I was going to marry a girl in blue jeans. None of that happened. I remember graduating and thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. There's got to be, I love the arts, so I was always studying Michelangelo, and I was, I want to go see the world. I want to see Paris. I want to see the Louvre. I want to see, the different places in the world that are out there. And so the only problem with that was I didn't have any money. Like most people, having these great, big, beautiful ideas and dreams that never manifested themselves into anything because they don't tend to get the right formula of understanding to make that all true. So I grew up watching my mother pick tomatoes in the field. That's where my life begins, watching my mother, which is why I don't like tomatoes, because we had tomatoes every kind of way, and I just, I don't do tomatoes. Anyway, so I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to be stressed out or strung out. My life was not easy. My life, and I don't regret any of it. I think that going through all that makes me understand, empathize, and sympathize with those people that I work with around the world today. That I get it. I get it. What it's like to, eat weenies and macaroni and cheese for months. Or I always tell this one little story about, when I was like literally just broke, and I would go and get those 5 for $1 ramen noodle things. And I remember getting home one day, like really excited about having my ramen noodles. I was hungry. And this is when I knew life was just not doing well for me. And I'm eating my ramen noodles and I bite down on a worm.
Oh.
I thought, oh, my life cannot get worse. Not even my ramen noodles are safe, But yes, no, life was not always abundant. No.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Bottom of barrel. Daniel hits bottom of barrel in the ramen noodles.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's ugly.
Oh, so,
I ate half of it. I only saw half of it. So the other.
You're like, well, there's my protein, right?
Yeah, I didn't call it protein at that moment. I can say that.
I'll bet not. Okay, so growing up that way, what changed? What did you do to be where you are now?
I was one of those kids, and this had to be this is a gift. I feel like I had. And that is that some reason I was always looking. I was the guy in a room of horse manure knowing that there was a horse in there somewhere, right? That it didn't get there by itself. And I was always looking for, I guess I love John Lennon's song where he says, I may be a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. That I was always dreaming of something more. And I had sensed that in my past life that there was, I had experienced it already. Because like when I was like, oh, I don't know, I would say 15 or 16, my mother was really upset with me because I wanted all these nice clothes. And I don't know where that came from. I mean, because we really didn't have the money. So she told me to get a job if I wanted to buy my own clothes. And so I went out to Neiman Marcus when I finally saved up enough money, and I bought a $700 sweater. And oh my gosh, you would have thought I slapped the family in the face. I could have paid for the house, the rent, the food, but I always had something in me that kept saying there's more to life than where you are right now. And it was like, it was like my space, because I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I'm a watercolorist, I do sculpting. I mean, I was doing this stuff going, there's got to be more to life. And then I read a story, and this is kind of what kind of defines what happened to me. Was one of my favorite artists is Michelangelo. And Michelangelo, when he was carving out the David, that David, if you've ever been in front of it, it's an amazing piece, is 3 times the size of David. And everyone knows it's a huge statue. 3 times the size was the marble that he carved David out of. And when he was interviewed about it, they asked him, how did you do this? How did you carve this magnificent, which is already big, out of these tons and tons of rocks? And he said something very simple. He says, oh, that was easy. David was already in there. I just let him out. And that's kind of the way I looked at things, is I just needed to find a way. And so I was constantly looking for what was the right thing for me and trying this and trying that. And then I ran across an author called Og Mandino, who would play a big part in my life. I started reading his books and began to dream that maybe that this life I had grown up in didn't have to be the way that I lived. And at 13, I made a decision that I was going to bring up a whole different generation of Gutierrez's than ever walked before. And that this wasn't going to be about what I was experiencing, and that my commitment was to find a way to make this different than what I had experienced. And I did. That's what I did. So I just kind of went along life. And I'm one that says yes to everything, and then, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Uh-oh, that wasn't smart. But I teach today that when we take that first step, when we take that step in the now, when we take that step in the present moment, the path will appear. The reason why we don't get where we want to go is because we get stuck and scared and fear, doubt, disbelief of stepping into that next step. And many of the viewers today just need to take that next step, because what I did learn was that God's source and universe is in the now. It doesn't exist in the past. It doesn't exist in the future. It exists in this very moment. So if I'm paralyzed because I won't take that next step, then there's no help for me. When that help shows up is when I'm willing to take that next step and allow source, universe, God, whatever you choose to call it, the step to reveal itself to me. And that's the magic, I think, in my life. Was I was always stepping off the bridge or the cliff or whatever. And I had a friend of mine tell me once, he said, Daniel, you're the only guy I know that will get up on a high dive at a pool and jump when there's no water in there, believing that the water is going to be there when you get there. And I said, well, Robert, I said, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment, but sometimes the water wasn't there and it hurt. But I still got back up and I got back on the diving board. So yeah. I mean, I think that I just really was open to everything that came my way. Everything.
Okay. Question about that. You said sometimes the water wasn't there. And I think that sometimes people will say, okay, I'm going to take this chance, and then it doesn't work out the way that they want it to. And they say never, ever again. So is that just something that's innate in you, that you were able to continue to do that even after having some negative experiences? Or is it something that was a lot
of negative experiences? As a matter of fact, when my book came out, I was kind of taken back by the press release that went out, because it said, if you want to know about success, Daniel Gutierrez is not the person to talk to. But if you want to know about failure, He can teach you how to take that. And I was like, who wrote this? What the heck? But what they were trying to say was that I had failed way more times than I succeeded. And you know what? We all have the ability to get back up. That if we go into something saying, I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work out, I'm never going to do it again, you're already defeated. Stop it. You've already defeated yourself. So you already created the out. So this is a great place for me to kind of jump in and give you some words that I think we need to revisit. We have a really sexy word we use in our industry called transformation. You know, we got this image of the caterpillar, and it turns into this beautiful butterfly, and it's all a lie. It's not true. It's not true. What the butterfly does is something we really need to pay attention to, what the caterpillar does. We all know the process that the caterpillar turns into the butterfly, but the caterpillar does not transform. It transmutes. Transmutation is the act of dying to oneself to create something that never has existed, never with the opportunity to go back. Now, think about it. Transmutation is not a sexy word. I'm going to transmute. It sounds like you got something, right?
Yes, it does.
The truth is, but that's the truth. If we're going to look at science and use science, then look at the truth. You know, that is one of the biggest things I teach people, stand in your truth. The truth is that we need to transmute like that caterpillar that dies to itself, can never go back to being a caterpillar again. It transmutes itself. And so that's what we need to do. When we say to ourselves, I'm going to try this, but if it doesn't work out, we're transforming. Now, I have a son, so I've gotten used to watching Transformers. There are these little cartoons that turn into cars, and then turn into monsters and back into cars. Well, that's what transforming is. It gives you an opportunity to go back. So those things are going backwards and forwards, but they're never completely anything. And when we make that decision that we're not going to commit, does the caterpillar commit? I'd say so.
Yes,
I'd say so. Ask the butterfly, right? But it doesn't go back. And if you go into something with that mindset, then you'll always be a step behind your abundance. You'll always be a step behind your prosperity because you're in fear, doubt, and disbelief rather than awareness, knowledge, and understanding of the truth of who you are, and that's to be prosperous.
Wow. My son has a little saying, if something really surprises him or is excited, he says, my brain just exploded. And you just exploded my brain with that. Really. Because I think to myself, I'm living in abundance. We're saving for a big family vacation to Disney World, and we have 4 children. And so it's quite an expense. So I've been saving for a couple of years for us to go to Disney World. And now we're at a point where, you know, we have the money, but I'm like, oh, do I really want to put it all to the trip now? Because then that will be that much. So I'm trying to transform with that instead of transmuting and just saying, no, I'm not, I'm taking away all of that. And we're just going to believe that other expenses will be taken care of when they come up.
And therein lies the biggest human problem with our understanding of prosperity. I teach a morning world class every morning. It's 8, 9 a.m. And I had a student ask me this morning a very similar question. I put into the universe my desire to accumulate or to make enough money to pay off my debt. I had a certain debt. She had a certain debt in her mind. I got the money. But now what I'm thinking about doing is putting it in the bank and making the payments. And so I said to her, interesting. So let me tell you what you're really saying. I'm going to put the money in the bank in case something else goes wrong so that the money's there. That's not what you said. You just are playing with your own thought process. So I said to her, if you want to keep the energy of money moving in the right direction, then you have to stay with the commitment that you made in the first place. And that was to pay the bill off. Now, pay the bill off is saying to the universe that you trust that all will be well. Putting the money in the bank and making payments so that something else can go wrong is stifling the process of the vibration of energy of money so that nothing else can show up. You have now blocked that energy of receiving any more because you're hoarding what you have. And that never works. So in essence, what I said to her, I said, pay the bill and watch what happens. So go on your trip.
Thank you. That's what I needed to hear to set me free. So that leads me to the next question. Do you think, is that Like, what's the most common thing that you notice within your clients or just within people in general that keeps them living in lack and keeps them from stepping into abundance? Is it the fear, or is it more than that? What? Enlighten us.
Their thoughts.
Their thoughts.
We don't even know that we take on our parents' thoughts, their ideas, their behaviors, and then everybody else around us. When I say stand in your truth, I mean asking yourself a question. Am I feeling what I'm experiencing in this moment? Is it mine, or is it something that I picked up, or is it someone else? Or is it my grandma's, or is it my grandpa's, or whose is it? Why do I feel this way? Standing in your truth, people's ability to not understand abundance is because they are happy being in their stuff. They are more comfortable in their stuff than they are being abundant, because goodness gracious, what would happen if I had the money? Then you'd have no drama. Then you'd have nothing to do. But we know drama, and we know, hey, let's make it to the end of the month. All the bills are paid. Woo, we did it. Nothing got repoed, right? That's why I grew up. No. There can always be enough. Now, I do want to say this. I had a discussion with another student. I don't believe that we're all seeking to make a lot of money. And I think what we're seeking is a lifestyle. And if we focused on the lifestyle and were able to write what that lifestyle was all about, the money would show up to support that lifestyle. But instead, we focus on the money, and we make money our God. And when we do that, we are now disconnected from universal life source. So let me give you a little science and formula. There's a formula that I read in Joe Dispenza's book called The Biology of the Brain recently, and I just fell in love with it. And here it is. Feelings and emotions plus thoughts equal a state of being. Okay, so hang on to that for a moment.
Okay.
Let's do some quantum mechanics. 99.9999% is pure energy. The opposite of that is 0.00001, which is physical matter. All right? We as human beings live in physical matter. Imagine that. We live in that 0.0001% of life because we want to control. When the essence, and over here at 99.999% is what I call God. God, source, universe. Now let's go back to the formula I just taught you. Feelings and emotions and thoughts equal state of being of instant revelation connected to source at 99.999%. We have all been in a position where we manifested something instantly. Where we're like, wow, look at that. Well, because our thoughts, emotions, and feelings were in alignment at that moment, which connected to source, which manifested the thought that we had instantly. Okay? So the problem people have in seeing that abundance in their life is their own brain. They just don't believe it. They're in fear, doubt, and disbelief instead of awareness, knowledge, and understanding. That the truth is that we were born in the image of greatness. We did not know this stuff when we came here. We learned it from our parents. We learned it as children. And so the truth is that the kingdom of heaven is ours. The kingdom is before us right now. And when we can accept that, and instead of praying all the time for money to show up, we should be meditating and listening. Prayers, talking, meditation is listening. We should do more listening, because I can imagine the she God or God or whatever's up there, universe, and someone's praying for money, right? Oh, I just need more money. I want to pay my bills. Show me more money. I could just imagine that entity saying, are you kidding me? I told you the desires of your heart are yours, and you're asking me for the 100th time for more money? Are you kidding me? What we need to do, and this is why I like to change the word manifest. I always change words, so I'm doing it again. The word manifestation to revelation. You see, because when I listen to the word manifestation, I'm going to manifest a car. Sounds kind of pompous. Sounds kind of egotistic, right? It doesn't sound like I'm co-creating anything. But the truth is that everything we could possibly desire is already at the fingertips of our awareness. And if we expand our awareness beyond our human experience, everything we desire is already in front of us. We just can't see it because we've never experienced it. So when you're asking, when you're meditating for that sign that shows me that is the truth, it will appear. But our job is to expand. Rather than pray, rather than manifest, you're revealing the true nature of what is already there. You don't find anything. You don't search for anything. It's already there. It's your human understanding and your human experience that keeps you from seeing the reality of the truth, which means you are a child of the universe and the kingdom of heaven is before you now.
Wow. Okay, so how do you help your clients bridge that gap between where they are and where they want to be without falling back into what is so familiar? And it might not be comfortable, but it's familiar, so they're going to go with the familiar.
Right.
How do you help them bridge that gap and keep that bridge or that gap?
It's a practice. It's a practice. Let's just say we're 50, and if it took you 50 years to screw up your life, it's going to take a little bit of time to undo what the subconscious mind already does automatically. So that game that we play about going back into what's comfortable is because the subconscious mind doesn't know any different. It's already been trained. Your conscious mind could be saying, I'm great. Listen, that goes back to the formula. When feelings, emotions, and thoughts are in alignment, you have instant revelation. Feelings and thoughts. Well, if your thoughts say, I am powerful, but you're feeling like, I don't know if that's true, or vice versa, there is no instant manifestation. So one of the simple things that I teach my students to do, and they think it's crazy and stupid when I first tell them, because they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. And that is, I call it the penny exercise, is that the key to understanding the power of your existence and the power of your abundance and prosperity is self-awareness. Being aware. See, because before you have self-awareness, you really don't have the opportunity of choice. You're just making decisions by default. Right. When you are self-aware, you now have a choice to give into the emotional addiction that you have for whatever it is that you're stepping into, or to make the choice for the higher good. But in order to do that, you have to be aware. You have to learn to live in the present moment. And so when I have people out there looking for coins, and for those of you in Canada, you don't have pennies anymore. So when you're looking for coins, it's not about the coin. It's about noticing that there's a tree in front of your house that you've never seen before because you're not aware. It's about being aware that when you get up in the morning, most of you are getting all the way to work before you realize you're even awake. You're not even paying attention to brushing your teeth, fixing your hair, putting on your clothes, that before you even you're not even aware that that's happening because your subconscious mind is running you. So when we become aware and we start to see things, and then we can become aware of our thought process. Why am I thinking that? What has brought me there? And the penny exercise is a very easy way just to be aware. And you know what? My son is always finding money, because I taught him this when he was a little bitty kid, and he's always finding money. And he's finding money because he expects it to be there, because he knows it's there. And so his brain has taught him that money is easy to find, because the truth is, it is. It's already there. He's just seeing. I'll give you another example. I was in New York City at an event I was speaking at, and I was walking down in Manhattan. Now, Manhattan's always crowded, hundreds and hundreds of people. 3 $1 bills came, the wind was blowing, came just rolling down the street, down the sidewalk. Nobody saw them. Nobody saw them. I bent over and picked all 3 of them up, and I told my friend, isn't it amazing that people aren't even present enough to realize that the abundance was right below them? So being aware creates an opportunity for you to do something about that brain or ego thing that's going on about whether you should or should not do something. So that's an easy thing that I teach people, is stay in the present moment. God's source and universe does not live where you're putting he or she. It lives in the present moment, and only there can it reveal the true nature of your gifts. In that present moment where you are connected in that space, you begin to see the truth. I've had hundreds of students who have gone through my courses and just went, wow, wow, wow. And I didn't do anything magical. I just opened their eyes a little bit and said, look, you can choose to live in your space, and good for you. Go on and leave everybody else alone. Or you can choose to believe the truth of who you are. And I think, like I was in that little boy, that question you asked me, there was something in me even as a little kid that said there's more to life than this. Mm-hmm. There really is. And I kept seeking that. See, we're all seekers of something. What are you seeking? Are you seeking prosperity and abundance, or are you seeking to be right? Are you seeking to be right about your beliefs? And if you're seeking to be right, good for you. You're a great manifester.
Exactly. So just so I'm sure, the penny game is just being aware and watching pennies come into your life, or coins come into your life. Pick them up.
Pay attention. And then if you really want to get good, raise the bar up a little bit and start looking for quarters and dimes and dollar bills, then $5 bills.
That's so amazing, because I was jogging 2 days ago and I found like 4 pennies in a row, and I'm like, I'm going to pick these up. This is still money. It's not a lot, but this is symbolic of something, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. So right there, if you were one of my students, I would have said, see, the fact that you said it's not a lot already negates the fact that you're believing that it's abundant.
Oh, rats. Okay.
See the internal dialogue? So the truth is that the only thing we need to be in that moment when you pick up, because most people won't pick them up because of their ego and pride. Oh, it's 4 pennies. Not even homeless people pick them up. I've seen a homeless person walk by. But here's the goal. Here's the magic. When you pick them up, the only thing, here's the other thing that I can teach you guys. The only other thing you need to be in the space of is absolute gratitude. Because the universe will not give you more if you cannot accept a penny. If you can't accept that as abundant, then the rest of your life will be the same. It will always be short of what you think you deserve, because you're not appreciative and grateful for that penny. So you find the penny and you're grateful because you know that this is a sign that you're beginning to shift your thinking and shift your awareness to believe that if I can manifest and reveal these pennies or this change or this money, then anything's possible. It's just an exercise. Wow. And always paying attention to your internal dialogue, because it's dangerous sometimes.
Yes. Well, thank you. I was feeling gratitude yesterday, when it just kind of wells up in your heart from nowhere. And it's like, I'm grateful for whatever. Thank you. Yeah. I found a nickel today when I was running. So
there you go.
I was like, hey, look at that.
Well, you can buy a new pair of shoes.
There you go. Fantastic. That's a fabulous exercise. And thank you. Thank you for helping me to realize, no, don't negate it by saying it's not much. It's still abundance. It's more than I had when I started. Yeah.
And there's somebody in the world that 4 pennies is a lot. If you travel around the world and you see how much people have, it's a lot. It's just all in perspective. It's all perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Wow, that is awesome. Holy cow, I could talk to you for days and days and days. And unfortunately, we only have a few minutes left, so I understand you have a fabulous free offer for us. Do you want to spend a few minutes and tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I've had the pleasure of interviewing, 300 plus people over the last few years. I had my own radio show. I've done interviews on abundance. I've interviewed everybody who's anybody in the area of abundance. And I put together 5 of my favorite audios, MP3s, as a gift for you to listen to some of the interviews that I did with individuals like Joy Asseroy, like Deborah Poneman, like Elizabeth Fate, like Larry Crane, who just is amazing at helping you get past your stuff. I mean, these audios are audios that most people have to pay for. And I've put them together for you, for your audience, to kind of listen into them and kind of listen to some different ideas on what abundance is about. Everybody's got a spin on how to create abundance. But everything that's ever been said, including me, everything that's ever been said in time has been said. The only difference is the person speaking to you, can you hear them? And if you can hear them, then that person's for you. And if you can't, so be it. But these audios are designed to help you. There's 5 of MP3s are designed, you get them instantly, to kind of give you some different perspectives. Now remember, it's not so that you believe everything everybody's saying, and that's true about even this interview. But if you can pick up just one idea or just 10% of what we said here today, you're better off for not. And turn around and teach it if you want to remember it. And turn around and actualize it and make it work for you. That's another thing I think that really worked for me as I was growing up. It's just trying it to see if it worked. And not everything does, right? Because we're all different. But to not make an effort is to stay stuck where you're at.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you. Those are some amazing audios. I'm so excited for those. Thank you. That is so incredibly generous. Is there anything else, any nuggets of wisdom you want to toss our way before we end our interview?
You know, I think you remember to live in the present. Remember to be grateful. And I always said there's 3 things in ingredients, 4 things. One was the formula I gave you, the feelings and emotions plus thoughts equals state of being. The second thing is releasing negative patterns or energy. The third thing is watch what you think, be aware of your thought process. And then the last one is always be in gratitude, not just when you feel good. And you know what? Gratitude is a vibration. Gratitude is a vibration. When we're in the state of gratitude, the outward expression of gratitude is joy. And joy is expressed through laughing and jumping up and down. All of it's necessary in the ingredients of abundance. None of it's unnecessary, and all of it is necessary. You can't build a cake if you don't put everything in it that needs it to rise and to become a cake. So when you're looking at your life, look at these things and look at the things that all the other teachers are teaching through this process and realize that it's worked for them. That's why they're teaching it. And so take the things that work for you and create your own cake, and you will be abundant.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I was like, oh, there's just a little something else we need. And that was exactly what we needed. Thank you. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure and thrill to interview you today, Daniel.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
And thank you to all of you for joining us on the Simply Abundant Summit. I just want to remind you to set your alarms for 6 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow, where we will have even more words of wisdom from other experts. I can't get enough of this. I'm wishing this summit was lasting months and months instead of days and days. But I'm truly believing that when you carve a little bit of time out for yourself and put yourself as a priority, that's the first step to living in abundance. This is Allyson Chavez wishing you a simply abundant day. Bye-bye.